this video, we're going to talk a little more about how the three design device work together and how to customize your page to fit each device individually. Now, I mentioned before that we have a very handy device selection here, right here at the top, which allows you to seamlessly switch between devices to edit them. Here we're looking at the desktop version, but we can click onto tablet and we have a pretty similar appearance here. You will often find tablet and desktop have matching layout because the layouts aren't too drastically different. We still have full width and multiple columns side by side, but let's click on mobile. And here we'll notice some significant changes. Many elements are sized smaller. We no longer see columns side by side, but they are on top of each other vertically. And overall, we have the same content, but they are displayed in a more vertical and mobile-friendly format. So how does this factor into design changes, and how do we customize for each display? Well, that comes down to what kind of change you're making. Rule of thumb: if you change what is being displayed on the content itself, it's going to reflect on all devices. If you're changing how it's displayed, speaking specifically about sizing and alignment, it will usually need to be individualized for each device. For example, let's start on a desktop version. And here we have in the family business section, we have one button for contact us. Now let's say we wanted to add a second button. You can right click on it, copy it, and I'll right click once again and hit paste. Now let's align it to the left to match the other one. And now let's click into the panel and change the text to say read more. And for the sake of demo, let's go into the design and change the border to be bright red, so we can tell the difference really. Here we go. Let's look at the tablet version. And here we have the same button and exact changes, and they are visible for tablet. Now let's click to mobile. We get something very interesting. The what has been changed. On desktop, we added a second button with a red border to say read more. And here on mobile, we have a second button with a red button to say read more. But on mobile, we have it centered, aligned. It's not left aligned. So the alignment and sizing would be something that's device friendly. Here on mobile, let's size this both to say half the size. And for the sake of demo, let's align them both to the far right. It looks a bit weird, but it's a point I'm trying to make. Now let's go back to the tablet. We can see on tablet, these changes are not reflected. And to desktop, again, the changes are not reflected. So it comes down to how mobile formatting works. For mobile sites, for most cases, you want the content to match. You want the wording to stay the same, you want the color to stay the same, but the size and the alignment has to be different to make sense for mobile. So just keep in mind when you're building that mobile will have a slightly different look. And here's one more pro tip. Let's say for some reason you don't want this image to display on mobile at all. If you delete it on mobile site, it's going to remove it from all of the devices. So here's a workaround. Let's go to our desktop version again. Let's click into row. So as I described in the previous videos, we have a function to hide on various devices. So here's what I do. We're going to copy the row like this, and we're going to click row again and click paste there. Now on desktop, we have two instances of the same row. Ultimately, I want one to be viewable on desktop and tablet, and the other to be viewable on mobile. But how do we do it? Let's click into the first one and let's go to hide on device, and we'll select hide on mobile. This will be the one that's viewed on larger devices. Let's go to the second one. We're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to hide it on tablet and desktop. So now we only have one occurrence of this row on each device, but on mobile, technically, it's a completely different row. So let's go to mobile. We can remove this image or whatever you wanted to do for this device specifically. And if we click on the tablet now, the image is still there, and click onto desktop. Of course, the image is still there. It's that simple. One last thing to note. Let's click to our home page. I'm going to click into the photo gallery here. Now, when you go to a design section of a widget, we see a small notation. It says content display for desktop only. That means this particular parameter, which is the layout option for how the images are placed on the page, will only be reflected on the desktop version of the site. Let's go to tablet. I will click into the same widget. We can even see that it looks different already. Into the panel. This one shows for tablet only, and the same goes for mobile. So keep an eye out for stuff like this, particularly for layout grids. There are certain settings, and in various widgets would make sense to apply to all 3 devices. So the builder will account for it automatically and will allow you to style for each individually. But remember, if there's a particular style and parameter that you cannot do, you can always create a new row as I just showed you and do it that way. Ultimately, you have complete control over your content and how it's been displayed on each device. This is pretty awesome.